All right, family stories. My dogs are rustling in the background. Oliver ignores the attention he is receiving, but the literary digression has helped Mrs. Willens regain her good mood. Bruce, too, wants to reestablish a solid position for himself. He runs to the bookshelf and returns with In the Rabbit Garden, the only Leo Leone book we have that features rabbits. Look, Mrs. Willens, Oliver draws better rabbits than Leo Leone. Bruce holds the book open next to Oliver's page of rabbits, careful not to come too close. See, look, isn't it better? Mrs. Willens' eyes travel back and forth from book to drawing paper. You're right, Bruce. Oliver's rabbits are more interesting. Their faces show exactly what they are thinking. Mrs. Willens is excited. Reenie, look at the mother rabbit's face, how angry she is when she pushes the eagle out of the nest. Oliver, you are a really fine artist. Knowing there will be no response, Mrs. Willens turns to me. Shall I do my story now, she asks. Her visit today has a special purpose, to tell us a story. We would urge all the parents to do so, and we particularly like to hear about things that happened when they were children. Reenie talks a lot about Leo Leone lately, she begins, as we come to the rug. Nearly every dinner time we hear something about one of his books. And she talks about Oliver too, in fact. For a while we thought Oliver was a character in Leo Leone book. The children and I burst out laughing, turning to look at Oliver, who sits with his back to us at the little table in the book corner. He does remind me of Frederick, gazing at the meadow, thinking of words and colors. Yet could Leo Leone put an Oliver into one of his stories, a character for whom life holds so many terrors? Such a book would probably be thought of as unsuitable for children, though the children, for all their frustration with Oliver, do not think him unsuitable for our classroom. Mrs. Willens continues, the way Reenie manages to bring Frederick and Tico and Cornelius and Oliver into family conversations reminds me of my baby brother. That's your Uncle Joey, Reenie. Reenie smiles up at her mother and reaches for her hand. When Joey was a boy, he lived on a farm in Mississippi. He had a pig named Honey, and he took her with him everywhere, except to church, of course. He even took Honey to school, a little bitty school that had big and little children all together in one class. My mother, that's Reenie's grandmother, was the teacher, and we all called her Miss Eddie. She didn't mind being a bit She did not mind a bit having Honey for a visitor. She'd even use Joey's pig for math problems. She'd say, how can we find out how many miles Honey walks in a week if Joey brings her to school three times a week? That sort of problem. Or she'd tell us to write a story about Honey or draw her picture. Anyway, Joey used to bring Honey into every conversation. Honey this and Honey that. And if Joey was asked how the corn is coming up, he'd answer, Honey'll have lots of corn this winter. So one day, Thomas, our oldest brother, got really annoyed at Joey. Can't your peanut head think of anything except that stupid pig of yours? That's what he yelled at Joey. He was that mad, and our little brother looked Thomas in the eye. Mind you, Thomas towered over all of us, so little Joey had to stand on his tippy toes, and Joey snapped back, can't your peanut head see it's honey that keeps me thinking? Well, even Thomas had to laugh at that one. Please stop, I'm reading a book. Our dad was real proud of Joey for figuring that out. Joey was only 5 or 6 at the time, your age, but he knew that if he used Honey for his main line of thinking, he could sort of hang a lot of things on that line, the way you all do with Leo Leone. Mrs. Willens suddenly realizes that Oliver is standing beside her. She reaches out to touch him, but he squirms away and places a small piece of paper in her hand. On it is a picture of a pig with the letter S above it. Thank you very much, Oliver, Mrs. Willens says warmly, and S is for sweetheart, we all shout together. It is late, but Nisha and I are still talking. Neither of us wants to leave. Mrs. Willens has fallen into our net, don't you think? I say she's made the natural connection between Joey's thinking, the way he used Honey, and even the way her mother used Honey, and the way we use Leo Leone. Yes, but I think it's more like uncovering layers than following into a net, Nisha replies. We've done that, we've done 5 of Leo Leone's books already, with each new one, plus all the activities that go with it. There is an unfolding of layers of meaning that extends to all the previous characters. That's true. We could not understand Tico so well without knowing Cornelius and Frederick. I can tell you, Vivian, that is exactly what happens when you are immersed in the great epic. When will you tell us some of these stories? Soon, I promise. Nisha has a faraway look. My mother was a wonderful storyteller. Every night, she would have a Hanuman story for us. Sometimes I'd ask for the same story night after night, especially if it was sad and made me cry.